All right, guys, here we're looking at personal growth. Now, still moving through our mastery over the mind and the body, but here we want to have a look at personal growth. Now, personal growth, I think, is the missing link. I think it is the most powerful part of this program. And as we start to really start working on ourselves, we need to become a lot more aware of our thoughts and our emotions and our feelings. Now, there's this real cool quote that I remember reading, and it was, if you perfect the body, you must guard the mind. But if you renew the body, you beautify the mind. Now, to me, that's really looking at the idea that if we're trying to perfect ourselves, we are looking at results and we're looking for outcomes and we're creating expectations. And then that makes failure so much more prominent, because if we don't quite get it, then we've failed. And then we usually define ourselves on our failures. But then if we renew the body, we beautify the mind. So by renewing the body, we're energizing it. We're looking within as opposed to looking without. And that's when we start having that open mindset and we start having that self-actualization, self-realization. So personal growth for me is about being truthful to yourself and being friends with yourself, with your past experiences, with your past failings, and with your past successes. So I've trying to get a bit of understanding around this personal growth concept. We're going to have a look at self-gratitude, self-forgiveness, self-compassion, and self-love. And these are the steps that we go through for personal growth. Now, understanding how it works is that as we start to renew the body, we can then get pushback from our subconscious. So our subconscious can then start to push back up to the mind and remind us of our past failures and past experiences and past embarrassments. Now, as that happens, we will then start to try and internalize it and start to judge how we feel and the thoughts that we have. So what we want to be able to do is understand that that's just a natural process of the body, because the body is just reminding itself of the past experience that we did fail. But failure is an important process of moving forward and learning and growing. And so it sends up the signal to this conscious mind, and then we start thinking about that. And we try and push it back down. We want to flip that around. We want to actually, instead of pushing it back down, we actually want to dive back into, our subconscious and become more aware of it. And as we become more aware of it, we peel back the layers, we clear the noise, we find our center point, we start understanding our levels of stress better, because we understand our shadows, we understand the things that can hurt us or that have hurt us in the past, and be able to use those and move forward through them. It's like understanding our demons or our shadows that we then push away. What we want to do is we want to bring them back out into the light. And when we do bring them back out into the light, we become friends with them. And as we become friends with them, we can use them to help reach our high performance. We can use them to find our full potential. So hopefully that makes sense. So now we're going to get into these steps. The first one is self-gratitude. The other thing about personal growth is that we're really looking at, it's a mind skill. We're training the mind on how we approach our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions. So we're able to place our attention on specific things, those thoughts, those feelings, and those emotions. And we use internal dialogue to be able to train that attention. So the first one is self-gratitude. Self-gratitude, it's not about being grateful for having things that we have. It's the self-gratitude that's within us. Why am I grateful for the things that I have? Well, I've worked really hard at it. Well, why have you worked hard at it? Because it's important to me. Why it's important to you? Because I've sacrificed, I've been through pain and I've been through suffering, and I feel there's an opportunity for me to be able to grow. And that's where self-gratitude is. It's that opportunity where we see experiences as an opportunity to grow. Now, as we start moving through that self-gratitude, understanding that we have suffered and we have sacrificed, and it's understanding that we have been through that. Now, as we do, we start to understand or start to feel more joy in every situation in our lives. We start seeing these thin slices of joy because we're grateful for those experiences. We don't treat them as negative or positive. We treat them as just an experience, and that we can learn and grow from that. And then when we start to learn and grow from those experiences, our whole horizon starts to open up. We start to be able to receive a lot more. So self-gratitude, it's seeing every experience, positive or negative, as the opportunity to grow. Now, as we start moving through that, we've got to start going back to our subconscious and those experiences from the past. Self-forgiveness. We forgive others, but we don't tend to forgive ourselves. We're one of the only sort of animals in the animal kingdom that remembers pain, remembers the past, and then reminds ourselves of that. So through self-forgiveness, it's not about forgiving ourselves now, it's about going back to that situation or that scenario where we felt embarrassed, or we felt pain, or we got hurt, or we felt like we were taken advantage of in whatever way. And we go to that person and we ask for forgiveness, we ask to forgive them, because we're stronger now and we've moved through that experience. So we can go back to that and say, I forgive you, I forgive the people around you, I forgive you for being in that situation. And we use that internal dialogue and self-talk to be able to say, now we can move forward because we've learned from it, we've understood the pains, we've felt the pains, and the pains are okay because we're able to grow from it. Comes back to the self-gratitude. So self-forgiveness is going back to those experiences that come up sometimes and being able to say, I forgive you, I forgive us for being in that situation, and we forgive the people around us. So that self-forgiveness becomes really important, because as they come up, those past experiences from the subconscious come up, and we forgive them, they become less and less impactful on us. We don't hold on to them, we don't become reactive to them. We just go, okay, well, that's okay. We've moved through that process. Now that moves down into self-compassion. Now self-compassion, I reckon, is a big part of what we need right now, because self-compassion is being kind to yourself. It's as simple as that. And when I mean kind to ourselves, it's how we talk to ourselves. We, as humans, we beat ourselves up over our past experiences. And as we beat ourselves up, it can become, we remind ourselves of the guilt and the shame of those past experiences. And so we then end up holding on to that guilt and that shame too much. Now, self-compassion is basically looking at, we didn't get to where we are overnight, and we're not going to be able to move forward into the next stages of our lives tomorrow. So we have to be able to say, okay, we've got patience, and that time is our friend, because we do have plenty of time. And especially when we start clearing all of this noise, we've got so much more mental real estate and emotional real estate and physical real estate to be able to move forward. So self-compassion is about being friends with yourself. It's kind of like looking at your to-do list and going, I've got all this to do on my to-do list. We always have a to-do list. There's always going to be something on it. The idea is going, okay, well, I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to be kind to myself today, and saying, well, if I don't get it done, that's fine. I've got time to do it tomorrow, because there's other important things that we need to be doing in our lives, like our holistic health wheel, our adventure, friends and family, our sleep. Those things create that platform for us to move, to experience life from. So self-compassion, it's about being kind to yourself, accepting that we may not get everything done on time. And as we start to let go of those things, we start to feel less stressed, because we realize that we've actually got time on our hands to be able to accomplish it. We can wake up tomorrow and we can start again. So that's self-compassion, and I believe self-compassion is such a big part of that personal growth, and being able to dive back down into our subconscious and being able to say, I'm on a journey, and that journey is exciting because I've looked at every experience and opportunity to grow from, and I forgive myself from my past mistakes. And self-compassion is looking at going, well, we make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes, and I'm going to make more mistakes. Those mistakes is going to be less and less. Now that takes us down into self-love. This process basically moves through and then we end up with self-love. Self-love it's that concept of being. As we become ourselves, we're going to be loving ourselves. We go through these stages, and we become aware of our subconscious, and we become friends with it. We start to love it. Now, as we start to feel that self-love, we start to trust ourselves a lot more. We trust our thoughts, our actions, and our behaviors, so that we're going to make those right decisions, and an accurate decision at that as well. And then as we start to trust our thoughts in that, and having more wisdom in the moment to moment, and that's the real powerful part, where we can trust ourselves to make the right and accurate decision in any particular moment. If we're under stress, under pressure, that we're going to be making that right decision, and that trust becomes really important. And as we trust ourselves, we then start trusting other people around us. And as we trust the other people around us, we can really create that community within us and around us. And people start to feed off that. They start to feed off our self-gratitude, our self-forgiveness, our self-compassion, our self-love, because we then give that out to the community that we're in. So, personal growth, understanding we have the conscious and the subconscious, and that it's important to actually become aware of our subconscious, becoming friends with it, becoming friends with our darkness, and that helps us let go of the shame and the guilt of the past experiences that we've felt. Going through self-gratitude, looking at every experience as an opportunity to grow. Forgiveness, going back to our past failings or embarrassments and forgiving that person at the time and those around us. And then self-compassion, being kind to ourselves. We've got time to be able to achieve the things that we want to achieve. And then self-love, that's true self-awareness and trust in ourselves, from that, and having that wisdom in moment to moment. So personal growth, it's a pretty exciting part of this program, and it's when we really start peeling back the layers and really start seeing our true potential and those levels of high performance. So the next thing we're going to have a look at is creating that clear plan of putting all of this together into a clear plan that we can then follow and go through in the program. Talk to you soon.